of the Historic Preservation Commission on July 10th, 2025 at 4:07 p.m. And Judy Masters will do roll call at this time.
Barbara?
Yes.
Mike?
Here.
I am here. Kim?
Here.
Chico?
Here.
Rich? And then I see Aaron and Deb are here, so I have duly noted. Thank you.
We're going to do consent of the agenda that you have in front of you. If you have any comments, let me know.
We adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second was Kim. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Ms. Michelle Giles, and she's going to give us a presentation and help us with some marketing and branding, and so you go right ahead. The floor is yours.
So I'll just quickly, because I offered up Logansport Reimagined last meeting, and so we met with Judy and just talked about how, having a brand for your community and you're part of the city, that it's important to make sure those brands and those logos and everything kind of mesh together well. And so we had that conversation, and Michelle's going to kind of present just a little bit of the history and then some ideas for what we came up with. So.
Thank you.
I'll just press the PowerPoint at the bottom.
Down here?
Yep. And then press
See, that looks familiar.
on the top there on the left. Oh, you can do it that way.
Sorry.
Yep.
Now I don't.
Way you know how to. Up on the left, if you see the screen with the play. Up, over. There you go.
Here?
Up, over.
No.
Over.
Right there.
Okay.
Over.
Oh, one more. The mouse is a little tricky.
Couldn't even see
I
it.
was having a hard time up here as well, so.
Okay, now that we've gotten through that. First off, how many of you, are you all familiar or have heard of Logansport Reimagined at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
No? Okay.
Okay. So, Logansport Reimagined, we define it as a community-wide movement of reimagining Logansport's future and working together to create a uniquely better community. And I will get into a little bit of the history on a later slide. So stay tuned. The objectives of Logansport Reimagined are to foster coordination and collaboration across all sectors, encourage a community-wide movement of reimagining Logansport's future, develop, communicate, and steward a unified shared narrative that moves the community forward, and implement a community-wide process of listening, learning, engaging, and doing. And when we define reimagine, we say to have a new idea about something familiar. If you've always thought one way about what something means, what it's worth, or how it could be made, but now you see it differently, you've begun to reimagine it. That's a vocabulary.com definition, but it fits the spirit of how we define the word reimagine. It's not to go out and create something completely new. We want people to rethink what already exists in our community and how they fit in with that. So, back in 2017, Logansport was selected to participate in a program through the Office of Community and Rural Affairs called the Hometown Collaboration Initiative. And our capstone project for that was Logansport Reimagined. Barbara was a part of that initial team. Aaron and I were. There were lots of community leaders who were involved. We went through about a year and a half
Literally.
with Purdue, Ball State, and Okra. And we were to propose a project at the end. And there were several different program tracks that we could pick. We picked placemaking. The major theme of all of that was, how do we tell the story of our community? And so in a lot of communities, they were doing things that we had already done, like creating a pocket park or doing the pink flowers, things like that. And we said, we've done all these things, but how do we get people talking about them and understanding what we've done? So that was our quote unquote project. And then we've continued it on through. In 2020, a group of leaders from different organizations, Logan's Landing, the Chamber, the city, utilities, schools, started meeting to kind of talk through, okay, what are the projects that are going on in the community and how do we talk about them? So if you ever hear the community priorities group mentioned, that's what that refers to. There was also another initiative through Purdue at that time called Digital Ready Communities that we participated in that talked about how is your community portrayed online and how do you make sure that information that's out there is accurate, that sort of thing. Then fast forward to 2020, the Stellar Communities program reopened and it was at a county level. So we knew we had the foundation of Logansport Reimagined. We worked with the county and the towns to apply for Stellar. Only 2 communities could be chosen. We were not one of the ones selected, but they suggested strongly that the communities that had applied participate in what's called the Rural Empowerment and Development Program, also known as RED. And so now the county is going through that process under the brand of Cass County Reimagined. So I tell you all of that so you know that all of these things are out there and this is kind of how they...
Didn't come up with it last month.
Yeah.
So.
Just right. It's been out there for a very long time. So when the community priorities group started meeting and we were trying to organize what are all the projects that are going on in the community, we thought what's the best way to present this information? Printing out a list every month didn't seem like the most accurate way to have accurate information out there. So we developed a website and it's logansportreimagined.com. One of the hallmarks of that website right now is our projects page where you can go and see different projects that are happening in the community. We also produce the annual report, which you have if you don't have one, I have some with me. And then we have cards that we distribute that take people to that website. So we've built all of that branding foundation kind of using the This is Logansport tagline. And then as other projects started developing, we thought, okay, how do we make this branding look consistent? So when the Dora district in downtown was being developed, we made the branding match what was going on with Logansport Reimagined. When the downtown business owners launched their Facebook page and kind of their marketing effort, we met with them and they were able to tweak their logo to be comparable to color-wise and feel-wise to Logansport Reimagined. It was very close to begin with, but we were able to share fonts with them and say these are the exact colors we're using. And then Cass County Reimagined is very similar as well. Luckily for us, the L of Logansport and the shape of the county pair well together, so we were able to use the colors and incorporate the rivers and that sort of thing. So that brings us to why we're talking to you today, because we heard that you were interested in logos as well, and so had some conversations with Judy and Aaron and kind of talked through what that could look like if you were to have a logo that was similar. And I left this next slide blank so that I didn't accidentally advance it too quick. So would you guys like to see just a draft that we've come up with?
Sure. Of course.
Okay. Ta-da.
Wow.
And again, it's just a draft, but we wanted to try to see if we could incorporate the colors, the feel, the different elements that we use through Logansport Reimagined for you. Then the second part of that is...
I like that. Isn't that neat?
I like the oldness of the buildings.
I like that it's between 2 rivers.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm glad that you like it. And we can get into discussion.
Sounds like
later.
we're gonna go, but,
No. No, but there's an and.
okay, there's an and.
There's an and. So the other part of it that we talked about is how do you share information out to the community? And I mentioned the Logansport Reimagined website. We do have the capacity to share information there. We have a section with different programs that are available in the community already. So if you guys would be interested in including information on that website as well, that is something that we could do. And I put together, it's not live yet, but just a draft page with that logo. And then I pulled some of the information that's on the city's page. And so you would have a dedicated space within that website that you could use. It would not replace your what would need to be on the city's website as well, but it would be a place that information could additionally be shared with the community. So if you guys would want to do blog posts about various things, that could happen. We would then be able to link to the different applications and that sort of thing as well. So, I talked a lot. Now you can talk.
I would ask Deb first, and ask Deborah, is this something that would be consistent or a nice idea for an organization like ours to get involved in?
I really like this because every community has the same logo. It's the steeple of a church or the bell tower of a college, or, they all look alike. They really do. And, when we're looking at historic buildings right now, going back 50 years, 1975, painful as that is.
That's historical?
Oh, yeah. So,
Mark's having an attack over here. Hang on a second.
so I like having commercial buildings and possibly a church, however you want to interpret the one in the middle, a two-story house, and the smaller cottage-type house. Means we aren't just looking for mansions necessarily. You've got great ones on Eel River, but there's a whole lot more to Logansport than Bankers Row. So I like that. I like incorporating the rivers, which, we need that. And the colors are good. And I always think it's good to be consistent with your messaging for a town so that people see it, they recognize it. So I love it.
So I just want to make sure that this isn't going to, go into Indiana landmarks and somebody's going to have a.
No, I think they're going to be excited to see that.
Fabulous.
Finally, something different.
Yes.
So,
And I love the Between Two Rivers, and I don't remember talking about that.
We talked a little bit about how could we incorporate them in it. That just kind of came together. Aaron and I sent several drafts back and forth, and
Nice.
all of a sudden it just,
came together.
that's it, yeah.
And I like the fact that we have, it looks like maybe it could be an American Foursquare on one end. You've got a downtown, a couple stories, 2-3 stories of the building there. There's what looks like it could be a little mid-century or some grass cottage. I mean, it's just,
That's what we talked about. I said, I want to have all the different types. Because we deal a lot with houses, but we want to incorporate all these other things too. And so that was something we talked about. I was like, I don't want just one thing. I want to and then the planner in me was like, well, commercial usually has then the intensity of like a church, and then it goes residential. So I was like, you can't mix like commercial, residential, commercial. You have to have it flow. But
I think you guys did a great job on it. I love it. I love it.
Building in the middle, what was that big? They remind me a little bit from, maybe the very old courthouse that's torn down, like, sometime in the 20th
That looks like a
century.
synagogue.
I just took different pictures and then I said, okay, well then, if you do this, this looks kind of like this. And then she fixed it up to make it look nice.
And we could tweak them.
I remember talking about the colors on that too, trying to go with those brickish building type colors with and I think that's nice. And the fact that you were able to put the water on either side. I think it's good. I love it. It's got a little mid-century edge to it, a little rustic edge to it. Just, I think it's representative. So I'm also really excited about the possibility of having something that is so available for people to access so they can see more going on. We have a Facebook business page. We have found it best to use that mostly just for announcements because it gets a little rough in the interactivity. So it will be nice to have something that's a little broader reaching and more accessible.
And I think that page is nice for you guys just to do like, what's the difference between national and local? What's already on the list? Last year's stroll.
Yes.
There's just so many possibilities where the city is more of like your agenda minute, who's on the board. It's an opportunity to have that up there.
And we're happy to work with you through Logansport Reimagined on content and trying to make everything look consistent and sound consistent and that sort of thing. So, I mean, we can be a resource as well to help in the development of that.
And if you look at the annual report, will you hold that up just real quick? It says, this is Logansport. Yeah. And so like, the thought is in Logansport Reimagined, Logansport Historic Preservation Commission, and this is Logansport, that never has to change, right? The story you use with those things changes, but those don't have to ever change. And so that's kind of the idea is that you can always say, this is Logansport, we have blah, 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 blah. This is Logansport, we're fixing, da, 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 you know, all the different things that you're doing. So that's another element of it.
Well, and we also, on the back, we talk about experiencing our diverse little city. And when we say that, I mean, you've got diversity of types of buildings that you've talked about. You've got diversity of ages of buildings and experiences and that sort of thing. So, I mean, it all plays into that story. So we're excited to have you guys interested to work with being part of the story.
Yeah, I want to, and I can't thank you enough.
Well, thank
Just
you.
Appreciate that you were actually able to take the ideas that we had talked about and we knew we needed to do. We knew we needed branding. We knew we needed a place. We knew we needed a logo because Barb's very kindly handed me the little business cards that we had, and they were something. I mean, they helped. But it's a picture of the corner of the city building. And that's nice, that's great, but that's not everything. And I think, I'm actually looking at a picture in this that Barb opened up, and that middle building that you were talking about, with the exception of the gabling on that being taller, higher, it looks like the memorial home. It has the profile of the memorial home. It's
You can always
just,
tweak it if you want to.
it's just, no, it's, I like it because it, there's, yeah, there's been some, there's been a little bit of I don't know, artistry. So it's not quite as literal, but it's representative, and I think that's kind of neat, because look at that, doesn't that look very much?
I like the phrase, literal, and not literal, but representative. And that's a nice balance.
Very good, thank you so much.
So, okay, so what do we do next? What do we do? Yeah.
I was going to ask you that.
Is there perhaps an opportunity to have a small committee to maybe take a look at some of the details there and, to see if anything could be enhanced to kind of drive it home?
In the logo, or in the, we can do whatever you suggest. If you think it needs some work, then we can.
When you look at any town from any elevation, you see steeples.
Sure.
Okay, so in my opinion, I think there should be a steeple, and then we have plenty of historical churches here that represent that. But at the same time, the rivers, I didn't get it was rivers, looking at those wavy lines. I don't know if something could be done to without making it too busy, to make it look like there's two rivers there that it's between. I thought it was just squiggly lines, just to be decorative. It didn't jump out at me.
Yes, I think it's kind of how you want to interpret it. I just looked at it and saw water.
I didn't. So I think, to me, and I think I represent perhaps the lower half of the human race, maybe it needs to be a little bit more obvious that it's water.
We could put a little kayak, taking a dive.
So those are really just you can see on the L, we put the little squigglies, and it's just keeping with some of the character of the other one, but you guys could always change it up however you would see fit, but.
Perhaps a railroad track or something, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty historical for Logansport. It may not be as busy as it once was, but it's still representative of our history.
I think we just stuck with the buildings because that's typically what you're designating and those type of things. And you guys can totally have a committee and come back with ideas, not a problem.
just remember, it does get too busy, like you were saying, once you start adding too many other elements in there.
I do think the rivers are something in that style, are something that we've been trying to incorporate through
Wow.
the entire campaign. And we did try to, we tried to stay, I'm not sure what exact phrasing you used, Judy, but where things could be interpreted. I mean, the bars on the L, they're industrial. They also can symbolize the railroad tracks. We had the two rivers. We don't have them meeting because we had the bigger picture vision that they don't meet through all of Cass County. They meet in Logansport, but all of Cass County is not where the two rivers meet. So I think that there might be some opportunity to incorporate some of the bar elements a little bit more. And I think the buildings, we could make them a little bit more representative of what is actually here, but also knowing that we did want to stay abstract in some ways so that you didn't just look at it and say, oh, the Historic Preservation Committee only deals with these 5 specific buildings in Logansport. That's not the case either.
I like the idea maybe of a steeple in the middle building, maybe creating something that's a little more definitive in that, because we do, I mean, she goes right, we do have a lot of churches and a lot of them are very distinctive in their appearance. So if that could maybe be exaggerated a bit.
So would you guys, as far as next steps, you would need to vote on the logo?
We'll need to vote on the logo, and I don't know, do we call for a vote today, Barbara, or do we talk about it a little bit and see?
I think we talk about it and then have a couple people be the committee,
Okay.
Chico being one of them. And then we'll come back. Do we have time to wait until the next meeting?
That's what I was, do you mean 2 months from now? Is that? I mean,
And
I think
it's
that
up
would
to
be
you
plenty
guys.
of time to.
You guys just talked about creating something, and I just wanted to keep you involved with what was the possibility to
Being part of Logansport Reimagined, so.
I think it's very important, and I think it's consistent, because you're obviously going to share this with other organizations, so I like continuity of that, and I like that. I mean, it's sharp. You're right, I wouldn't want to muddle it too much. I would just, it's sharp, and the colors are good, and tells a story.
My input at the moment would be just to increase the size of the steeple, maybe in the middle,
Okay.
and make it a bit more representative. Otherwise, I like the rest of it as it is.
actually like want to cross on, just more pointed, more defined.
It's what?
So you want to cross on it, or you just want it more?
I think
pointed,
maybe
more
just
defined?
taller. Are we talking about making it taller?
Well, I mean, there's no church that even looks like that with the columns, you know, so maybe more representative of an actual.
Okay, so,
So it's
Yeah, I'm not
obvious.
from that.
If you have to explain it, then it's not clear enough.
I think we were going windows on that one, and that might be more visible when you see it closer. But I think that was like, since they all
I like
have the
the
windows,
windows,
that
too.
was our.
Shows, I guess I they were windows. Maybe the colors making you remember the church, not St. Vincent's, but across the street in that little section of a street, Spear Street, and then Emmaus, but there's a church there up at the top by itself.
not St.
And it's-
James, is it?
Huh?
Not St.
I
James.
have no idea, but it's in that little piece of property in between Spear Street and Emmaus.
Like if you drive straight forward from the post
You
office,
can
there's
go
a
take
church.
a
Yes,
picture.
yeah.
We talked about it when we were doing this, we just pulled some images
Yeah.
together, and
It's,
we talked about, we could actually even go take a picture if you wanted a specific building and block it out to represent that building, so.
So we could do some tweaks with some different versions of buildings and then bring that back to the committee, and we would have a different starting, like we would have a similar starting point, but with different buildings.
I think you can tweak it, but I would really advise against going after any specific building, because then people are like, well, they did her building, but they didn't do my building. They didn't do my
Right.
church. Like, we don't want to do that. Or
Right.
their
That's-
church, not ours, or
It
whatever.
may be possible that we can look at the steeple, like if there's a steeple you really like, we can look at that. If there
I
are
think
windows
that
and
one had a very
steps.
detailed steeple, and we were like, just put a triangle for now.
Yeah.
Type of deal, because it was like so detailed, which you can kind of see that's kind of how.
The one I'm talking about, towards the top is, they're convex, not concave, but the sides are convex at some point. And it could be just the colors making me think of that. But I like it. And it would still have a steeple. Yeah, take a look at that church.
So we'll put together a couple of versions that have tweaks to the buildings.
Okay.
And then a smaller committee, or, I think it would be good to have a smaller committee meet before your next meeting.
We will, yeah, I agree.
So, if,
Whatever you guys decide, just let me know, and we can try to do examples of that too.
so, if we have you as a committee member, okay, and who else would like, Judy? Okay.
Mostly because I sat down with these guys from the beginning and talked about it, if you don't mind. So, anybody else?
You want me to do anything to involve aesthetics?
No, I'm good. What you?
All right, so that's, like it. All right, so that's where we're at, and you'll come back and we'll,
And you're doing this out of the goodness of your heart, so I don't want to keep coming back to you with iteration after iteration. This is something that is being done on behalf of the community, and you're doing us a favor.
We are doing it through Logansport
I
Region.
understand that.
but we don't want to impose too much.
Yes, so,
I don't want it to be that you're the only committee we're working with. We'd
Correct.
like to work with others.
correct. So, I like the idea that what you have put together is representative and not so specific. But I do also recognize that we have some distinctive architecture as far as churches go. And my eye is going to the middle, and that says church to me. So I think maybe if we can just make that a little bit more.
If you could, in the next week or two, get me some ideas or get Aaron some ideas of specifics that you might want to see tweaked other than the steeple.
Like a historic property.
If there's a particular building that you think I really, really like that feature, let us know so that we can incorporate that into it, and then we can get back to you and we can have a meeting and
Okay.
say,
Do you
okay,
wanna-
we tweaked it.
Do you want to do that? You want to put some stuff together and you can just email it to her, picture?
Sure.
Okay.
Would that be?
We can do that.
Okay.
She can, yeah, we can talk offline and put some things together and send you some emails.
Yeah.
That works. Thank you.
So we're going to move on, but I want to say that I really appreciate you being here, and I'm excited about this,
Thank you.
because I've been excited about this a long time.
We
So
appreciate all of,
we'll do whatever you need us to do. Thank you.
we appreciate your excitement.
So, thank you. Nice job too with the,
Michelle will search and she can email me the logo that you have. I'll send you an email and ask for it. Thank you, and Aaron may have it. Okay. If
Thank
I
you.
can get hold of that. Thank you. Have fun at the fair.
oh, yeah.
Any of you, there are annual reports back here, if any of you do not have one and would like one.
I already
Last night, there were
snagged
people
one.
taking surveys and handing them out.
So we're going to go to old business, and let's talk about updates on the fountain. And then it says still stored at Memorial Hall, question mark.
Anybody know if that was what
Rich was gonna-
Rich told us last time, but do we know?
Well, I only know what I heard at some point in time,
Okay.
before the last time we were over there. I heard people talk about taking the fountain and putting it, there's evidently a patio someplace, either east or west of the building, on one of the sides outside.
Memorial?
Yes. That would be a good place. Does that sound familiar to you that
I
somebody
have
talked
heard
about?
that they were looking at either the west, one of the areas to the west, or one of the areas to the far east out in the front. I don't think they were talking about putting it on the corner.
No,
So why
it
is
was
it?
east at west.
So who's the they? Who is it that has control of its location and?
Parks Department.
Park Department owns
Okay.
it, has it.
Okay, so, I was curious why it isn't being put at that grassy area there by across the street from Little Turtle, adjacent to the.
It was already there. Is that what, isn't that where it was?
I'm talking about
with
across the
Chris.
street from Little Turtle, not right off Market Street, because there's gonna be a grassy area there, isn't there?
Are you talking about in front of the depot?
I can't hear you.
Are you talking about the depot area?
Yes.
The depot area has they're installing a fountain currently at the depot area already. So there's not a grass strip in front of the depot anymore. And then the rest of it is so that it can.
East of the depot, there's a grassy area there.
They want to keep the thought of the east is actually the outdoor court area. They just installed the rental for ping pong and cornhole, if you haven't seen it, so you can rent it down there. But the rest of the lawn is to stay open because when we have events, they want to keep it open so that they can have seating to face the stage. We made it so the west side the stage can be brought in. So the plan is to keep the rest of it open.
It just seems that in being in a memorial home, it's pigeonholed and not, doesn't
They
have
still
a
have to
prominent
repair
place
it.
to be able to be seen by the public.
Yeah, no, they still have to repair it. That's just something they talked about. Actually, they talked about a couple different parks and how they would incorporate it. So I don't know that it's been decided.
I'm sending a message right now to see if I can get an answer as we go on with the meeting about if it's over there now. So, I have a question about the fountain. I remember a lot of conversations about it and its location and so who's financially responsible for the fountain? Is that Parks and Rec?
The city in general terms, but yeah, parks.
And so if they put it at the memorial home,
It's not really parks, so it'd probably be then part of the city's.
I don't think the memorial home people would have enough money to really,
Currently,
Restore
Memorial
that
Home's still
fountain.
owned by the city, but yeah, I think putting it at Memorial Home is questionable because it may be sold and then, or, I mean, I'm not saying, but in the future, 100 years.
oh,
I don't know
okay,
what's gonna
well,
happen.
no, we're not selling
I'm
it.
not saying right now.
Okay, I guess you
I
have to look.
am watching the stream freaked out too. But I'm just saying, we don't know what's gonna happen with
True.
Memorial Home. I mean, there's a lot of different discussions with Memorial Home, so, but putting it there, then it'd be part of city property versus parks property. So if the city, it gives it to a nonprofit, that nonprofit, like you're saying, may not have the money to maintain that fountain. So I think that's all needs to be taken in consideration when they're talking
That
about.
lot's basically a park.
That's what was originally supposed to happen, so I don't know when I haven't heard the Memorial Home discussion, so I'm not sure when that came up, or who brought it up, but I don't know exactly where it's going at this time. The discussion was before, Burkhart Park and just doing a concrete area there. Do you know where that is? It's on Fifth and Fifth and Erie and Market. It's like that little triangle, where they would just concrete that all and have like a seating area around the fountain and kind of make that nice.
What street is that?
It's, where Erie, Fifth and Market all meet there by,
Isn't
Right after
the
Bakery.
Cole, isn't the Cole fountain there already?
the pole fountain is on Second Street.
Oh, Fifth.
It's right up here.
Second.
Yeah, I'm talking about Fifth Street.
Oh, that triangle where you can kind of hear Erie and then go that way.
When it was removed, that was the location that was talked about, just so that they could sit around it and enjoy it. There's, the kind of thing. But I don't think that it's still been decided where.
I don't think so either, but there's a lot of conversation about it. I did send a note to see if it's at the memorial home at this time. We probably need somebody we need to keep track of it, so
That was,
We don't lose
Janice
parts.
here from the city, she said, the plan was for the city to put it somewhere, I think. question.
That's correct, yes.
Trying to make sure,
Not
figure out
going
where
back
that's
and
going to
hiding
be.
or anything.
But it's not our fault, so.
No, but
No, it's not.
but we approved it based on,
I do have a question, though. If it were to remain on property with the memorial home, and one of the agenda items we have here is to discuss something that Susan Gerald mentioned in an email a while ago about the designation of the memorial home. If the fountain remains on those grounds and the memorial home should be designated, would it then become part of our concern?
Yeah, if you specifically mention that in the designation.
So that's, I guess, something to consider, because then that would be sort of a compound designation. We would be looking at the hallowed ground around the memorial home being housing for the fountain, and then protections would be extended.
Yeah, so what happens 50, I'm not going 100 years, 50 years from now? If it belongs, it won't belong to the memorial home, but
No, it would be
but if you
designated,
designate
it's still
it,
the city, but it would be designated.
Yeah, so it would be protected in perpetuity, because that would go.
so it would have to remain there probably.
If it were moved, it would require a COA.
Right,
Okay.
it would require that.
All right.
And you could locally designate it wherever lands, you know, you can have just the fountain. There's one in Elkhart like that, that's actually in a triangle with streets on 3 sides in just the fountain. Is that right?
That's basically what we were talking about.
I've seen that. I have
So-
seen that. Okay.
And it was a good thing, because some drunk fell over and through there one night and smashed the fountain. And so repairs were necessary, and they got done properly because it was designated. And who knows what might have happened otherwise. So there is some value to that, so might consider that wherever it ends up.
Okay, that's our update on the fountains at this time, and I think we'll continue that, of course, until someday we have it all worked out. Indiana Landmarks, Deborah, would you like to talk to us?
Yes, I can do that. The window workshop, it says Judy and Barbara, but I think we all know it got canceled. We just did not have adequate response. We could not come out with that. I think part of it might have been when it was scheduled. I know 2 years ago, we tried to schedule a tour that we thought was fabulous, and it was the same, like, second weekend, I think, of June. Couldn't get enough, had to cancel it. The next year, we rescheduled it in August. We set out 50 tickets, we sold all of them, we moved it up to 100, we sold all of them. We wound up with 150 people.
Wow.
We couldn't even get 25 the year before for that tour. Now, I know this is a different thing, but June is crazy. You've got graduations, you've got weddings, you've got people going on vacation. I would wonder, maybe at a different time of year. In talking to Jason at MAS, he was just like, no worries, it's okay, it's the 3rd floor, you know.
He has, I think he's finished the 2nd floor. And has he? I thought I saw, it looked pretty nice. I mean, considering it's not restored, because it was already changed a long
Right.
time ago.
Yeah,
So it still looked nice.
Nasty
Very nice.
windows, the ones they put in were much, much nicer than what
Yeah.
was in there recently. So that was good. So he's game for waiting, if we want to revisit that, you know.
I put us in here for a very simple reason. We had arranged, and Aaron helped me with this, we had arranged to offer lunch to the residents at a mass.
Did you do that?
And when everything canceled, we were not obviously in a position of being able to afford, we originally had Tate Dogs on one day, Boland's Donuts, and then we were going to do a taco bar for Me Mexico on the second day. So we canceled all of that, but we did not want to leave the residents without some kind of a lunch party. So I contacted B&K West, thinking that we would maybe chip in, because Barbara offered to chip in and buy hot dogs, but Heather said no, they were going to donate them. And so they donated 50 Spanish and Spanish cheese bags, 2 gallons of root beer, offered plates and napkins and everything. I told her that what she was offering was more than enough and we could handle that. And then I checked with Brian Graham at Sycamore to see if we could get some rockets, some of the chocolate rockets, and he insisted on donating those as well.
What a shame.
So Barbara and I met at Emmaus and we unloaded food and set up a buffet of hot dogs, root beer, and rocket bars donated by the community. And I did put a big thank you in Facebook. So on our behalf, if you guys are all right with it, I'm probably going to send them just a thank you letter from the HPC for doing that, because they didn't need to do that, and it was very sweet, and the guys were in there chowing on hot dogs long before we left. They went out, they got the plates, they got 2 dogs, a plate, and their root beers, and it just seemed like the right thing to do, but it was so nice that the businesses did that.
Yeah. That's good.
Neat things happen
Teach them how
I
sometimes.
think you're reaching out to them and asking and,
And I did, and it's funny is I didn't even ask them to donate.
no, I know, but at least.
I just asked for the order, and they just were like, yeah, we're gonna donate. I'm like, that's a lot of stuff, guys, because Brian donated 2 dozen rockets, and those things are pricey, and Heather donated 40 hot dogs and 2 gallons of root beer.
Those guys are eating hot dogs all week.
Imagine, I don't know, well, everybody gets those in 2s, so that was how that, but again, it was just something that kind of makes your heart a little happy, so we wanted to share.
Okay, October. Okay, so, that's the plaster workshop?
Plaster workshop. We're doing plaster in October. Nice. Oh, good, I just screened that for everybody.
We'll have a great sign up for that. I just want to make a comment, because this is your part, Deborah, but I talked to Malcolm, and of course he'd be very happy, and it's a great big space, so you can have as many people as you wanted, I expect. Or there were someone offered a space, so I'm not trying to overtake a space, I'm just saying, he said he's happy to have us do this at the Memorial, say it.
It's easy for you to say, Barbara.
So, however they want to do that's fine, and there is no asbestos in that plastering at the Memorial Home, no asbestos. So that's a good thing to know. All right.
That is good. I think it's a good location. I think the tie-in with the Memorial Home and everything they're doing there is really good. And the idea that we have basically limitless space is
And
good.
I think you get the newspaper guy to write about it again. You know, just include, I like him. I like the way he talks about the organizations in the city and gives them credit.
Pick a date so we can get that out.
Oh, I thought we had October 11th or
11th or 25th was what we were talking about, but I didn't have that we picked
Oh,
one
okay.
in particular.
all right. Well,
There was some conversation about it, that maybe the 25th was better, that it was
They
later.
were both Saturdays, weren't they?
They're both
Columbus
Saturdays.
Day, that could be a 3-day weekend for a lot of people.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think
It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing.
I know when fall.
So you're thinking
Fall
what?
break,
Well, when's fall break?
isn't it usually the last week in
Well,
October?
that would be even worse, yeah.
Well, like the 18th in the middle.
For some reason, the 18th is not good.
Yeah, and I forget what that is, honestly. But there was a reason.
If fall breaks the 25th, then I think you want to go with the 11th.
I'm not sure if, don't have kids in school anymore.
Pardon you? Could you? That's a good idea. Let's see, okay, so we ended up with the 11th possibly, is that what we're talking about? So now, if we have that big of a space,
Well, then the 25th it is.
25th? You guys are messing with me while I'm trying to take minutes here, so.
Back in my day, we didn't have any falls.
Okay. So October 25th, at the Memorial Home for the plaster party.
So do we handle it the same way we handled the window stuff for, remember they came to Historic Society?
Yeah.
And what did we do there? Oh, that was a video, yeah, it was windows, yeah.
Yeah, so he'll be
That was
doing
well done.
hands-on stuff. Paul is fabulous. Paul had this job before I had this job, and he had it for a long, long time. He's retiring, he says. At the end of this year, he's been saying that for 10 years, but I think he's really going to do it this time. So if we want to get him, now is the time.
There you go.
And he'll be 70 at the end of the year. He bought his first house to rehab when he was 18.
Is that right?
He's got experience.
That's a very clever young man.
So he's just amazing and very down to earth, very relatable, and Aaron knows him. And yeah, just really a great guy. So I think it'll be a really good presentation. He'll show how it's done. He'll talk about tools and materials and safe practices and, that sort of stuff. So I think it'll be very informative. We can do an Eventbrite registration so we know who's coming. And we can either, that's up to you, if you want to charge for it or you don't want to charge for it. I mean, he'll charge mileage, which I think we're going to pay because he's still working for us part-time. He quit full-time 1st of June. So I think we'll cover the mileage, but if we would collect a little to help reimburse that Indiana Landmarks will never turn down money. So that could be good. We just find that sometimes when people register for things and they pay a little bit, I don't think it needs to be outrageous. But if they have a little skin in the game, they tend to show up.
I agree. So this is a one day?
One day, couple of hours, so,
Okay.
$5, $7, I don't know, not ridiculous.
What about something like maybe $45? Is that too little or too much? A little too much.
I would say 5 or 10.
Okay, okay, you're talking about just a stipend.
10 or
Five
$15.
still minimal. Yeah, I think 10 is worth it.
Yeah.
That's the
I like 10.
logic.
Okay. So 10 or 5, 10, 15?
I'd say 10.
I like 10.
10
Maybe
bucks.
10 or 20. I think 20 might be a little stupid.
Okay.
10 is probably better.
A 2-hour thing, I think that's.
I got it. 10 bucks.
And so he's going to provide, you guys provide the plaster or?
Yeah, we'll have.
And the tools?
Materials and all the
Okay.
tools and all that stuff. What time,
Well,
when do you want to start?
maybe 10 o'clock to 2?
10 to 2 is nice? Or is that 2 hours?
Probably.
12.
10 to 12.
Have,
Into 12, then have a little
Yeah.
lunch or
Okay.
whatever.
10 to 12.
just 2 hours? All
Yeah.
right.
Well, for 10 bucks, it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Snack.
Okay?
What do you say, 10 o'clock to 12?
Yes, I've got 10 to
Okay.
noon.
Okay.
Do we need to have some kind of refreshments or donuts or something?
Probably wouldn't hurt to have
In the
some
morning?
coffee and.
When we get there?
Little snacky things.
So I can, I will say that Mullins offered donuts the last time at a very nice discount. I could bring Mullins donuts and I could bring a couple big carafes of coffee.
Yep.
Is that sufficient or do we need anything that's not sweet and not caffeinated?
Just water.
Yeah.
We don't like this kind of.
Okay, water.
Maybe
Okay,
a little
got it.
fruit, a few bananas or some clementines or something for people that don't want donuts. I love donuts, so.
All right, good job, folks, we're moving along. Oh, Ms. Deborah, again, Commissioner training.
Till later, reservation month
What?
activities,
Wait, what?
third item.
Preservation Month? Activities? Is that where you are?
Yes, I'm right here, old business. And most of these are Deborah's.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're past the workshop
Uh-huh,
and we're down here.
uh-huh,
Okay.
okay.
Very
All right.
simple.
Good.
Okay. Very simply, this was discussed the last time we talked about doing a hometown history. The carousel has several open dates for us in May. And we could do maybe a half day, or we could look at a full day. We would want to be able to make a donation to them. And right now, I'm just using Carousel Day as a working title. So once we secure the date, then we can start looking at having people populate the area with some interesting activities, discussions, a couple of games. I've kind of come up with a couple games already, like what did this used to be kind of thing. And, whoever can come up with as many incarnations of a historic building.
Gosh, we should have some great stuff at the museum.
See? That's
People don't know what they are.
So that kind of thing is what we're looking at there. So does anybody have a preference as far as, I think we're looking at a Saturday in
Probably.
May?
Of 2026.
2026. And we have several from which to choose. Obviously, I don't think we want to get into the, a Memorial Weekend would be the 23rd.
Yeah, we don't want to.
So we could go after that, or we could go before that. Right now, we're looking at the 2nd, 9th, or the 16th. Anybody have any?
I don't care.
Okay, you just want me to see if I could secure one of those?
Probably the later, the warmer, I would think.
Okay, maybe 9th or the 16th?
16th.
I'll check on
Ninth and
those.
16th.
Okay.
Mother's Day's weekend would be that 9th, 10th,
Okay.
16th would probably be.
All right. This is scheduled training on procedures and roles of commissioners. That would be Deborah. That's a continuation thing.
Right.
Yes.
So just whenever we think that's a good thing, whatever the calendar looks like.
How about the next meeting?
We could do that in September. Make sure that I'm actually here. I think I am. I've got a ridiculous schedule.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I won't be here in September for a regular meeting, nor will you. Okay. Chico and I are both gone in September. Do we want to meet in August? Can we meet in August so we don't lose time? Or do you want to wait until October?
It's up to you guys. I don't have
We
a,
only have, Rich is the other one that's missing, is that the only one? Yeah, so, I mean, you're gonna have to do one of the others.
Do we want to meet in August? So I can get it into the minutes if we do. Anybody?
I can do it.
October instead of August, in that I have to miss the eye appointment in August, and I'm gonna be gone in September, so I don't know is that too late to wait for that?
I think we can do that anytime. It just depends on how frequently.
We would be meeting in October again anyway. So,
What'd you say, Mike?
And August, it might be a problem.
October 9th.
October
I
9th.
figured out you all have a life and I don't.
okay, so October 9th is the next meeting, and that will be before the plaster workshop anyway. So we could do training on the 9th. So I can put that in the minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Doesn't have to be very long. We can just,
Should be in good shape by then, because we've acquired Napanese Historic Preservation Commission, and I have them that morning. And then I'm giving a presentation to the Questers in Mishawaka after that, and then I'll be here. So you might get a repeat of.
Oh, there you go. That would be fun.
Oh, my
Right.
goodness.
That way you don't have to
Full
do
day.
anything different, just,
Yeah, it might just be whatever Napanee's doing, because they're just getting started again. They've been.
just keep us
we're gonna
right in
have
line
to
there.
continue some of this stuff. Aaron, I'm gonna call on you, please, about, Tower House and Disher Home update. It says Rich and Aaron.
He never actually made it over there, but I know that the mayor himself sent a letter about the house on 20th Street. And also, it's my understanding is that they're gonna get ready to sell it.
I did not hear you at all. You're not really on a microphone right now. Is this on? Is this on?
This one you have to leave.
There you are.
Oh, okay.
There you're on.
Okay. Anyway, my understanding is there was a letter that was sent to, is it the Disher House? It's the 20?
20th and North?
Yeah.
My
C18. Yes.
family's on this Ann Grace's house.
Okay. Anyway, that there was a letter sent to them, and that it's, my understanding is that they're going to put it up for sale.
Tower House or Disher Home?
Disher Home.
That would be thrown out.
So, that's my understanding, but I don't know for sure. Rich and I actually never made it to see the building commissioner. I don't know if I was supposed to schedule it, or he was supposed to schedule it, or he was supposed to give me dates at work, or I don't know what happened there. But I will follow back up with him, to get over there and talk to them. I do not know anything about the tower home.
The lady that owns the tower home, when she was running for, yeah,
She did.
she ran for what?
President in 2020. I'm
She
not
did? The lady is
I'm
from the
not
tower?
kidding.
Oh,
No, I'm very serious, yes.
Oh,
Last
said-
time, 2024, she ran for Senate.
yeah, I think she got it, didn't she? Anyway, no, she said, that her intention was to continue to work a little longer and then just come here and retire and be in her house. I'm just saying that's what she told me at some.
I think that's
function.
always been the discussion.
Okay.
I just recently, with the letter that was sent, I think they had stated that they're gonna try to put up for sale. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen, I don't think it's up for sale right now, but that's just the new understanding. But yeah, I'll go with Rich and, try to get something set up.
So how many years ago was it didn't the school replace that tower? And was that like over 20 years ago?
No, it was less than that, cause I was here.
Yeah.
It was maybe 15, 18.
So has anyone lived in there since?
No, it was never fully finished. The inside is bare, pretty much.
It's a mess.
So why is it on the agenda? Is there something wrong with the house?
Just, no, asking movement on it, because the people that have owned it, every person that has owned it has not done anything with it. So just talking about vacant, we have an ordinance that's vacant properties, and how do we move on those vacant properties and make sure that something's happening with them. So that's why it's on the.
So they're paying their taxes, aren't they? I mean, what's the problem with that?
problem. I think
Somebody
that we
wants to
want,
have a
so we want someone to be in there making sure, I mean, we lost the, I forget the building down here, the Greensfelder building, just because no one was in there and the roof was leaking, and it was a whole new facade. So when places are vacant, they're going downhill, and that place does not have heat or any electricity, and no one's watching it. So if you want to be on top of your historic preservation, working with the building commissioner's office and the rental inspector to make sure those vacant properties are being inspected, trying to work with those property owners to sell or something, is the best way to keep it historic and be able to maintain that historic building versus waiting for it to fall down.
Simply being on Bankers Road, that makes it historical by itself, right?
I mean, that building's historic.
It's on the National
Yeah.
Register. Bankers Row is on the National Register, and many of the properties there are individually designated as single-site historic districts.
So does the homeowner know all the expectations?
Oh, absolutely, yes. We have a covenant on the exterior, Indiana Landmarks does, because of the work that was done by the high school students way back when. And so we monitor the thing, and we have been, as long as I've had this job, I've been in conversation with her. She has a sheet of paper this long of things that need to be done, even broken down into what can you do on a weekend? What could you do in a week? What do you probably need to hire out? What can you do yourself? We are beyond frustrated.
This person lives out of state?
Indianapolis. Initially, when she bought it, she was living here, and she thought this is where she would be, but her job is now in Indianapolis. So I was just there before I was here for the meeting, and, you know, it just continues to deteriorate. The wood soffit and fascias are rotting. I'm sure the gutters are jammed because you can see water has run down the side on the bricks. It's causing deterioration. There was a hole in the boarded-up basement window. We did get her to fix that. And now today, there's a bay window in the front, and I see that various pieces of trim are missing. And in fact, the trim that goes, you know, where the two sides of the bay window go together, there's big wide trim there. It's actually been cut off with a saw up about a foot from the bottom. So I don't know what's happening. It's deteriorated, but like who's fixing it? What kind of materials are they using? Who's doing the work? All that should be okay with us before it gets done. We've heard nothing. So sent a lot of pictures back to my boss, and I don't know where that's happening, but it is not going unnoticed. We can take people to court, but we do not want to do that. We unfortunately, with that particular covenant, have no way to go back and reclaim the property. We may offer to buy it from her. Other people have offered to buy it. She's not been willing to sell because she has a higher price in mind than people want to pay. So.
Are you allowed to share the price that she's considering?
I don't know exactly. I know for a fact she's been offered $75,000 and she's refused it. And I feel it would be wise to have taken that.
And there's, on the first floor, there's nothing.
No, there's nothing. House doesn't have a kitchen, bathroom.
Oh my gosh,
No, nothing.
she's way far away. I'm moving in there.
Oh, it needs everything.
I think the kids did a little bit of electrical running just to learn how to run.
Electrical, but it's everything.
Wiring,
You can-
HVAC.
You can see the brick outer walls from the inside.
See what?
You can see all the brick walls.
Okay.
That house won't last 10 years, empty.
How,
People don't even realize ivy climbing up brick, as pretty as it is, does a lot of damage.
And it's so hard to get it off there without pulling your brick down and out, and so sometimes just trying to mitigate is part of it, but okay, got it.
you know, one problem she has with it, one reason she continues to tell us she doesn't want to do anything more, invest anything more, is because of the retaining wall that's in the back that separates it from the river has washed out at the bottom. And so I will agree, it is getting bigger and bigger. When I first looked at it, she said her little dog, small dog, could go through there. Well, now a person could go through it. It's that far eroded, but I don't know, that's not our problem, for sure. I mean, and we've talked to the mayor, yeah, we talked to the Department of, what is it, the engineers, I don't know, state level anyway, you know, talking to them. We just have not been able to find anyone that will help with that project. That's kind of a homeowner thing, but I think it could be fixed, I really do, and that's not our fault if that's happening. But she's saying that's gonna just collapse, and the whole house is gonna fall into the river,
And
and
she won't have a $75,000 house.
so better to sell it. Anyway,
Is
that's,
everybody good? We need to move along.
Good.
We have CLG report review, Deborah and Aaron to report on.
CLG.
That's us. We're certified.
It's like, wait, do we have one? I don't think so.
we are certified, we talked about it government, that's what we are.
So that's us.
We just talked about it last time and some things that we should probably look at.
So we
Mission
should-
statement, I know we talked about.
Yes.
And we sent that out.
There's,
She sent one in the email thread.
That's right.
We're just, you know, encouraging us to do things like locally designate some properties or put something on the National Register. I don't think there's a lot more that I know of.
No.
Needs to be on the National Register.
they were pretty good. I got Rich's resume in there, my resume. I didn't even think about mine. I was like, well, I'm just holding stuff. And they're like, we need yours. And I was like, oh, I would have sent it. I had it already, but,
Is the one I sent on Rich sufficient?
yeah,
Thank
that was
you.
fun. plenty.
You did a good job.
And then the mission statement, they did send on some mission statements. That's about the only thing I think we needed to work on. We have one, I guess? I mean, we do, but I didn't know that they put this down as our mission statement. Our role is to approve and regulate elements of development, redevelopment, rehabilitation, and preservation that affects the visual quality of individual buildings and historic districts that have been designated as local landmarks.
Isn't the purpose the same as the mission in this case?
And that's probably why they did it. I don't know. They said we needed to work on our mission, but then they provided me mission statements where our mission statement was in there, so I was confused by that. But if there's something that we want to change in that mission statement, we can. I can resend it out. I can re-say it. But, I mean,
I would volunteer to pull what you had out of the thread and work on it,
okay.
if you're all right with
I
that.
think, yeah, I think it needs to be kinder, or, what am I?
Not a matter of fact.
Yeah, I think it needs to, yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a little harsh.
I'll come up with something that's a little fluffier and warm and comfy. How's that?
There you go.
Okay.
All right, next section is volunteer site for people to connect, participate, ask questions. This should be addressed by HPC inclusion in LRI site.
And that's done. That's
Okay.
already, she's already covered that.
See how well I did that?
What is LRI?
I don't know.
Reimagined
Oh,
that Michelle talked about
she did a
earlier.
good job, by the way.
She did.
All right, so city council, Judy requested for August, Mike, Barbara, and Deborah. Oh,
I don't have a response yet.
okay,
We may not make it onto August,
okay.
which is probably okay because I don't know that we're ready yet anyway. So,
Okay, so new business. When we get to the bottom of this page, I'm gonna adjourn
yes,
because all these other things we can.
that is just a brainstorm
Yeah,
that I
that's good.
sent to everybody
But
that
you
I
did
was
a
thinking of for
Great
the holiday show.
job of the list,
Thank you.
and we had to save that for next year too. Designate, let's see. New business, designate memorial home, Judy, Barbara, and Deborah. Under that is, in a recent email, Susan Gerald indicated that the owners would have to make that decision about, the designation, yes. I think they sound like I'm not certain, but they sound like they have to write the historic thing for the designation. And we've told them that we write the, you know what I said, they think the mayor's office is gonna do it.
So this is what I got from Susan,
Huh?
from that email, because there was a request for everybody to write, to petition, to not have anything bad happen to the memorial home. So I came in and I tagged Deborah in. I came in, of course, and said if it were designated, I said, I was not as blunt as that, but I said if it were designated, we wouldn't have to worry about that. And of course, Susan corrected me almost immediately and said, that's not what I'm asking, that's not what this is about. But Deborah came in right after me and said, yes, it would help considerably because everything would be in place and nobody would be able to do anything arbitrarily to damage or cause any issues with the memorial home. So then Susan came back and said that would be something for the owners, to direct to the owners, which is fine because what she was telling us is that we could write the designation. They're not going to designate. The Friends of Memorial Home are not going to be the ones that will designate anyway. So, and I realize Mike's laughing because it's been a hot potato as far as who's the owner over and over again, but it sounds to me like if we put one together, that it could go to the mayor and council. So do we just go ahead and start putting one together? And that was why this is on here, because I think, personally, I think it would save,
If you were doing that for me, I would say, you go right ahead.
yes, I think it would save everybody the concern about what could happen, what might happen, what if somebody gets in there and it's not protected? So,
Would it be rather to write it, and then if, let's see, well, they don't own it, but they are heading up the family, this group that's trying to restore the memorial home.
Do we need a motion to proceed along the lines you just outlined? Should this be something that this commission should approve, that we move forward with? I would make a motion that we
excuse me.
get this, request the city to adopt this
I
designation.
think you could say, I move that we draft a designation request.
Second?
All in favor then, yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right.
I thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's great. I'm excited about that because I think that is how we help.
Yeah.
I think that's how we help. Okay.
Okay, so, oh, we already did that. It says HPC complete and present the requested designate. Yes.
Yes, and I'm
And
putting right
discussion.
now that Mike moved and Chico seconded.
Next on new business is late November, early December, hometown history, holiday stroll, suggestions submitted by last year's participants, and start brainstorming. So the next page is an entire list of wonderful brainstorming. So I want you to just review that. We're not going to make those decisions
No,
today.
it'll take forever, but I'm starting to get ideas about like scavenger hunts.
Yeah, you have
and
some great ideas.
different things like that, so. And once I started typing, I couldn't stop, so this is what happened.
And, okay, our next meeting is scheduled for, did we say
October
August?
9th?
October 9th, right?
October 9th?
Correct, that's what I have.
Okay. And does that meet with everybody's approval? All right, call for adjournment at 5:19.
Aye.
You second, okay. And we are adjourned.